Crafty Friends, Annie Collins here for Brutus Monroe. Today we'll be creating this floral Halloween card. Let's go over the products I used. I used the wisteria stamp. This is a beautiful floral, and I'm going to use the sentiment that says hello friend, and I have the coordinating dies for that. Some transfer sheets in silver sketch. This is a Brutus Monroe collab, and decofoil transfer sheets, toner sheets, sorry. We have some chroma mist here. I'm going to pull them in. These are going to be to paint our floral. We have evergreen, and that's a shimmer mist, so you got to give that a good shake. Merlot, also a shimmer mist, and lilac purple. For our background, we're going to use yellow orange and sunrise, and sunrise has also got some shimmer to it. We're going to do some embossing, so I have our raven ink and some embossing powder in icicle. We are going to use Not Your Mama's cardstock for our card background and for our image. Our stick and stamp mat and our stick and stamp pigment palette. I went ahead and cut my panels down already, so I have one for my background and one that I'll stamp on, and some layering cardstock in black. I'm just going to make the front panel, put this on my card base later. Okay, so I'm going to clear everything. Let's get started. I'm going to first start by stamping our image. I'm going to bring in my stamping platform here, and we're going to get everything set up. I didn't show you, but I put some anti-static powder on my panel off screen, just prepping it. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put my stamp down of my image, and I'm going to also put my sentiment. First I was going to put it there, then I realized the die won't fit, so I gave it a little quick flip. I'm going to stamp this twice using our raven ink to get a nice even coverage, and then I'll put some embossing powder on it. Raven ink is perfect for embossing, as well as you give a quick heat set. You can use it for alcohol markers or just our aqua pigments. All of our mediums work great with this. Alright, so we gave it a good stamp, and now we're going to clear that out and bring in, I use a little sheet here to catch my embossing powder, and we're going to cover this image with the icicle embossing powder, as well as our sentiment. Give that a quick shake off of any of the excess. I missed a spot, so I'm going to go ahead and run it one more time. Tap off all the excess, and then I'm going to heat this until the embossing powder is completely melted. You'll know it'll go from dull to shiny. Once it's all shiny, you know it's completely melted. I'm going to grab my little clothespin here to hold it to keep my fingers from getting in the heat. And I like to heat from behind and front, so it melts evenly and it minimizes the warping. There will be warping, but at least it's not as much. So I'm going to quickly get that all set so that we can die cut it, and then we'll be able to color it in. Just about done. Double checking. When you see it go off screen, that's me double checking. Alright, I'm going to let it set aside and cool off. While that's happening, I'm going to run our toner sheets through the laminator. So I have my toner sheet, and I just have a little scrap here that I've pulled out, and I'm going to grab the silver sketch foil. Remember, shiny side goes up, dull side goes down. There's the carrier sheet. I'm going to trim off the excess foil, and then we're going to run it through. I use a swing line heat laminator, but you use whatever laminating tool you have. Alright, so I'm going to put that in, close the transfer sheet, and just run it through. It doesn't take very long, and I had my laminator heating up off to the side. That way it would go pretty quickly. I mean, as quick as a laminator will go, which is slow. Now we have a variety of toner foils in the design. What am I saying? We have a variety of foils in the shop. I love the sketch one here. It's going to be perfect for what I'm going to use it, which is I'm going to use a die from my stash to cut out spider webs, and that silver sketch would be perfect for that. Look at all that beautiful holographic. I know it's playing crazy on my camera. It's holographic and it's beautiful. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and cut our image and our sentiment, and I'm gonna go ahead and start putting this down with some post-it tape. Then I realized I gotta bust out the pixie tape because it wasn't holding it down, and I'll run this through my die cutting machine, which is off camera because it's a big one. It's a really big one, and it won't fit in the space I have. I'm going to quickly tape this down, and then we're going to color this using our chroma mist. So a little pixie tape here will do what we need to do. I'm going to cut this and the spider webs all at one time. So here we go, we'll run it through. And there they are, perfect. So I'm going to set them into my little tray. I got to get my spider webs here. And here they are. I got all those little pieces out. And I cut 2 strips of the spider webs. I won't need both. I just figured let me have some just in case. So let's create our background. We're going to get a little splat box going on here, and we're just going to spray the yellow orange one, and then the sunrise one, you're going to see me, I'm just going to splatter it. It's going to give this a quick spritz, and I want some heavier dots or blobs, so I do a half spot and then a full squeeze, or half squeeze and a full squeeze. I'm going to remove the nozzle from the sunrise, and I'm going to stick my paintbrush in there and give it a quick stir just to make sure I got all that shimmer going. And then I'm just going to tap this on the side of my bin. And this is just a plastic bin. It's like like a shoe size bin. And I lost the top. Well, actually I broke the top, so I figured this would be a great splat bin. Alright, so you could do the old pull the nozzle out and tap it as well. I'm just showing you that you have options. You don't need to use a paintbrush. Going to set that aside to dry. While that's drying, we're going to color our image. I'm going to get my stick and stamp mat and my pigment palette all set up. Put my image down. This is going to hold it while we paint. We're going to paint using the chroma mist. So I have the evergreen here. I'm going to put some on my palette. I'm using the old drop it with the nozzle trick here. Grab a small paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint all of our leaves and stems. And Brutus Monroe has a great variety of items that you can use to color with. You can color with our chroma mist, aqua pigments. So you have a good variety of things, and they work all water reactive, so you can water them down on your palette and make them lighter and darker. Plus the chroma mist come in regular and shimmer. So I'm going ahead and filling in as much of the leaves as possible. There we go. It goes pretty quickly, and I'm using a small detail brush here. And the reason why I heat embossed is just to create a cheat so that the pigment does not go outside of the lines. I do go out here and there. It is handmade. We do make mistakes. But it's a cheat. It helps contain it. I do this a lot when I'm watercoloring as well, with like our aqua pigments. Yes, I can speak. And that just helps contain it, and it also gives a beautiful finish to your project. All right, so now we're moving on to the Merlot and the lilac purple. I'm just going to set 2 little drops of each of these here on the palette. And then I'm going to use a bigger brush to paint in our floral here. And I went from darker to lighter. So the Merlot is a deeper, richer purple. And then the lilac purple is a little bit lighter. So it's going to create that ombre effect from dark to light. And I want the darker towards the top, and then it goes down to a nice light effect. And it goes pretty quick painting these, and they will not take that long to dry, because I'm not using a lot of pigment or a lot of liquid on here. I'm just using a little bit on the brush and putting it into all those little areas. So I won't be needing to heat set this or anything else. I'll set it off to the side for a few seconds and it'll be dry. And I love using the chroma mist in this way as well. Not just using it for my background or through stencils, you can use them this way. This chroma mist can be used to create, like we did earlier, the background with spritzing and splattering. You can also use them with our stencils. You use a good amount of pixie spray on the back and spray them, and then remove your stencil, and you have the image left behind. So we're almost done here, and the areas where it meets the lilac and the Merlot, I kind of mixed it a little bit in between. Use a little bit of each color to mix it so it blends nicely. Once these are done, I'll set this off to the side, give it a second to dry. I am going to not clean off my pigment palette because I have little scraps of Not Your Mama's cardstock that I will just brush that on or dip it into, and now I can save that to die cut things for different projects. I do that a lot. So here you go. You can see the shimmer from the leaves and the Merlot color on down, and then it just gets a little more dull towards the bottom because the lilac purple does not have any shimmer in it. Here's our background, just about done. I have a few spots that are still a little wet. I'm just going to heat blast those real quick, and then we'll be able to put our card together. Giving it a quick 1-2 here. And I love it. I'll show you here in a second. You can see the shimmer from the, there you go, from the sunrise, which is like more of a deeper orange color, and it looks so pretty. Excuse me. So we're going to go ahead and layer this onto our black cardstock. I'm just grabbing all the components for my card here, bringing it all closer to me. All right, so let's go ahead and start building our card. We're going to go ahead and layer our panel onto our black cardstock, and this is the general idea of what I had in mind. I'm just going to go ahead and adhere these little cobwebs to the corners of our card. We're creating a slightly spooky but not super spooky kind of setting. This isn't a true Halloween, scary, spooky kind of thing. It's just to get you into the spirit of things. So I'm just going to trim off any of the excess. And then I realized I could just start cutting these little spider webs apart once I get the second one on. And then it goes a little quicker. So, and I'm dabbing off the excess glue on the back of my hand. You do not have to do that. You could just put a little less, but I got a little excessive there and too much glue came out, and then I was dabbing it off, and then I'll just wipe that off when I'm done. I don't mind getting dirty while crafting. So I'm going to put my last one on here, and then we'll flip this card over, or this panel over, and trim off all the extra little webs here. So we just have webs in each of the corners, and it's just enough because of the shine of that foil. So I'm trimming it off. And then we'll layer this onto the black cardstock. This is not Raven cardstock. This is black cardstock from my stash. Raven cardstock is a better, higher quality. This is what I had on hand. I think what I have on hand is like 80 pounds. So just going to go ahead and layer this on here. Center it up. And then we're going to add some foam adhesive to the back of our floral and attach that to the card. So I'm going to make sure I like it here, and so there we go. We're going to start adding some foam adhesive. This is not Brutus Monroe foam adhesive. This is just stuff from my stash. I'm just giving everybody a heads up. This is very thin, low profile adhesive. So it just gives a little bit of a pop to my floral. Then once I get that all on there, I'll remove all the backing. Just trying to make sure I have enough adhesive so that the floral does not buckle. This card comes together pretty quickly, to be honest. You just stamp and emboss. Doesn't take that long. And the watercoloring I did, or the coloring I did, with the chroma mist and so forth, makes it so quick and easy that you can really make these in a couple of these in a day. So I'm adding just a little bit more underneath the stem here. I guess I didn't put any adhesive behind that. And now we have to add our sentiment. I'm going to add a little foam adhesive behind our sentiment. And then you can see I put too much, so I have to go and remove some so it can lay evenly. So I'm making sure I'm lined up here. That's when I realize, nope, too much adhesive. So I go ahead and remove that, fix it, straighten it up. And then for finishing touch, I am going to bring in some flat back purple pearls. This is from my stash. Use whatever you have as your finishing touch. I'm going to just put a little triangle around our florals to bring your focal point to the florals. Putting a little dab of barely art glue everywhere where I want my little pearls to go. And we are complete. Here's our card. You can see all that shimmer and shine from not only the deco foil but from the chroma mist, because we use the shimmer ones. So we used Not Your Mama's cardstock, toner foil, silver sketch deco foil, and the Wisteria stamp and die, Raven ink, and some chroma mist and evergreen, lilac purple, and merlot to color our image. And for our background, chroma mist in yellow orange and sunrise. Here's one more look. Thank you for being here. I hope you found some inspiration, and don't forget to create your own ending.